If you're interested in making films with your action camera, check out Action Camera Filmmaking. It's on Amazon right now in paperback and for Kindle. And if you're running low on money, there's also an economy version of it. So check that out. And if you're new to YouTube, I have a book called The YouTube Producer's Handbook, also on Amazon in Kindle and paperback formats. You know, we're trying to build this community in 2018. So if you like what I do here, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell, and I'll keep dropping these vids just for you. Eyes in the sky, gazing far. In 2015, I contacted a camera company and told them I wanted to test one of their prototypes. But I wanted to do it in a very unconventional way. I wanted to take their camera and shoot a short action film with it. This film would showcase how the camera performed during the day as well as night, and explore how I could use this camera in a series of circumstances found in action and generally narrative filmmaking. I also wanted to see how it would stand up under various color grades and post-processing. Now, for those who've been with me for a while, you know that company was SJ Cam, and the camera was the SJ5000X Elite. A camera which, in my opinion, is still one of the best interpolated 4K action cameras on the market. We shot the films accelerated and transit, both which inspired the feature-length version of Transit that I'm working on now, which is being shot with the Panasonic G7 and the SJ7 Star, which eventually replaced the SJ5000X Elite. And since shooting these projects, I've fallen in love with using these cameras for narrative filmmaking. They were very instrumental in projects such as Crisis Function and the upcoming Crisis Function Awakening. And with all of this in mind, I was inspired to write the book Action Camera Filmmaking. I also want to write a book called Minimalist Filmmaking, which action camera filmmaking is a form of that. It's making films with the least amount of equipment possible and working with a very small footprint and getting the most out of that equipment. So this is a copy of the actual book. I want to show this to you guys. So if you are thinking about purchasing this, you will know what you're getting. Now, this is the full color book, but there is an economy version that sells for $11.95 versus this one, which is $19.95. There's also a $5.95 Kindle version. I tried to price it where one of these versions will be in your budget. Now, we start off with the foreword from Andrew Woolard, who you guys know as Worth It or Not here on YouTube. Andrew graciously agreed to write that for me, and then you have my introduction, basically breaking down why somebody would want to shoot a film with an action camera. Aside from them being generally inexpensive, if you're a creative filmmaker, an action camera could be one of your greatest tools. Now we're getting into the section that if you're a gearhead, you're going to love, and this is where I talk about the gear basically. I break down the stuff that you're going to need. We talk about computers and obviously tripods, things like that. And of course, we get into the cameras. So I start off by talking about GoPros, obviously. And then we get into all the other cameras, the SJ cams. We talk about everybody from them to Andor and DB Power and Firefly, people like that. We get into all the major brands, really. I try to inform people about what's out there and try to give them a bit of a primer as to what they should be looking for in an action camera, as well as getting into other equipment. We talk about drones and things like that. We try to cover as much as possible while keeping the book compact. I like to try to keep things straight to the point, and we also talk about things like post-production, what type of editing software you might want to get, Final Cut, Premiere Pro. We talk about Power Director, Sony Vegas, all kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff that's out there, just again, try to inform people what is out there. And here's one of the most important sections for an independent or low budget filmmaker, and that's the budgeting and brainstorming section. We talk about that. And we talk about a lot of things in this section. A lot of it is practical advice. It's some of it's probably stuff you've heard before, but we get into things like location limits and location scouting as well. Budgeting, X factors, preparing for things that come up. We just talk about a lot of those type of things, story elements, stuff like that. So that's something that's a really good chapter, I think, in this book. The next section is the casting section. I just give you some basic information that might be helpful with your casting. And then we have this, and this is kind of what you buy the book for. This is a production. Now, there's a lot of information here that you could probably get from any other production book, but there's some other stuff in here that's specifically about action cameras and how they function, how they operate. So I talk about how I use these cameras, and this is mainly like a inspirational type of thing as well, where just dropping some ideas in your head and things like that. So that's this section of the book. You see a lot of full color pictures where I'm talking about color, temperature, and things like that, and altering the picture, color correction, and that type of thing. So I really do get into that type of stuff with this book. So there's a lot there to chew on. And one of the last big sections is editing and post, and it's just a general breakdown of how to edit. We talk about LUTs, we talk about post sound, and things like that. It's not a huge section, but it's kind of an important section, especially if you're new to this. So if you're a professional filmmaker and you're getting into this book may not be all that important for you, but for people just getting into it, this book would be really helpful for you. So if this sounds interesting to you, grab a copy. There's several different formats of it on Amazon. Like I said, I tried to keep it within people's budgets, so there should be something for everyone. So you guys take it easy. Nathyn Brendan Masters, hasta.